Everybody, and welcome to today's session of Roznama, the daily newspaper analysis. Today is the 7th of April, and 7th of April marks World Health Day. All right, so that is your one thing that you have to keep in mind. But then again, we begin every day with Donald Trump. So today also we'll be beginning with Donald Trump. So yesterday, day before yesterday, he had basically issued an ultimatum asking Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has very conveniently denied and said that it is absolutely unwilling to open the Strait of Hormuz to Iran. That triggered the US president further, and he's issued further statements that the United States of America can take away Iran in an instant, and it could be today, it could be tomorrow, and it could be any time possible now. All right. Now, US is trying to negotiate to bring Iran on the negotiating table, but as of now, Iran is absolutely unwilling and is asking for a full end to the war. And not only is Iran asking for a full end to the war, Iran is also asking for sort of permissions and sort of uh, certain agreements and sort of promises by the United States of America that Iran would not be attacked in the future. So these are certain conditions that Iran has put forth and has also asked for promises from the United States of America for lifting of sanctions. Iran has been suffering from economic embargoes and economic sanctions since the 1979 Iranian Revolution. All right, so this is what it talks about. Then we also have Majid Khadani, who's a Major General, Major General Majid Khademi, and he has been shot and apparently been killed before yesterday, and that is another major loss to Iran. Okay. Then the next one is Israel continues its strike in southern Lebanon, and Lebanon also is confirming that Israel is undertaking attacks in Lebanon. Israel is undertaking these attacks in Lebanon, specifically in southern Beirut, only to tackle and to strike and exterminate Hezbollah. What is Hezbollah? Hezbollah is a militant group, and this particular militant group is has always been on bad terms with Israel, specifically since 1982, and it is this particular organization which is also fighting for the liberation of Palestine, the removal of Israel from the West Asian region, and along with that, now since the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in February, uh, the killing of their Iranian leader and their Shia cleric has further triggered the Hezbollah militant group into war against Israel. So now, as of now, Hezbollah has somehow subsided, but still we do have Israel continuously undertaking attacks on Lebanon. Okay. Then IRGC, that is Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is the military organization of Iran, which was established after the Iranian Revolution of 1979. And this military organization is that one body which is solely been established to undertake protection of the supreme leader Ayatollah, and it is based in Tehran. The headquarters of the IRGC is in the capital of Iran. All right. Now IRGC as of now has been vested with the absolute control of undertaking absolute control of the Strait of Hormuz, and also absolute control of the governance and administration of Iran. And now IRGC has issued a statement that even if the war comes to an end, the Strait of Hormuz will never return to how it was before. And they are also trying to outline certain plans that now it would be the responsibility of all the Gulf countries to ensure safety and safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So as of now, Strait of Hormuz has actually become that one critical point in the war, which is actually giving Iran an upper hand over United States of America in the present war. All right. So IRGC has said that they have made plans to establish a new security architecture in the Gulf region, based on the principles that region security and stability must be guaranteed by littoral states. That now it's saying that it would be responsibility of all the countries in the Gulf region to ensure that no further threats and no such crisis in the Gulf region occurs in the future. Okay? All right. Then again, Donald Trump has issued a statement, has been giving such messages, and he's again saying that United States of America is capable enough to overtake and to raise the military of Iran, and he's just waiting for the proper time for it to happen. Although he's been continuously issuing ultimatums to Iran, and these ultimatums are being issued for this very reason that the Strait of Hormuz must be opened. But Iran has also come to this realization that the Strait of Hormuz is that one point which is actually giving Iran an upper hand in the war. So Iran is also playing well around it. Okay. Then Israel hits key petrochemical terminal in Iran's South Pars. All right. Now this South Pars LNG oil field is an oil field which is actually shared across border between Iran and Qatar. All right. So it is like an underground oil field which is in Iran also, LNG which is in Iran also, and it is in Qatar also. In Iran, it is known as South Pars, and in Qatar, it is known as Ras Laffan. All right. So naturally, if you are striking one of them, these are highly inflammable substances, be it LNG, be it oil. So if you are striking any one of them, it is naturally going to impact both of them. All right. So as of now, it is this particular oil field, LNG supply field, which actually accounts for 17% of the total global LNG supply. And if you are striking it, you're actually hitting onto and major energy resource region and causing this major global crisis. Okay. So again, keep in mind the name of these fields. All right. Then we did see a few days back that a removal process had been initiated in the Rajya Sabha and in the Lok Sabha for the removal or the impeachment of the Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar. Why was he being impeached? Was because the opposition members considered him to be partisan in nature in the sense that siding with one party, and here that one party is naturally BJP. This was one of the allegations. The other allegations that were inflicted against Gyanesh Kumar was that he had, unnecessarily deployed so much of officers in West Bengal during the time of elections, and he's unnecessarily evicted so many voters in West Bengal only for the reason that more votes should be given to the BJP party. All right. So an impeachment motion under Article 324(5) was initiated against him in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So now the Rajya Sabha chairman as well as the Lok Sabha speaker, they've rejected the proposal seeking the removal of the Chief Election Commissioner. All right. How is the removal of the Chief Election Commissioner undertaken? In the same manner and grounds as that of a judge of a Supreme Court or High Court. So what are the grounds for removal? There are two grounds for removal. One is proven misbehavior, and the other is incapacity. All right. And the process of removal is similar to that of the judges. So it is also guided by the Judges Enquiry Act of 1968. All right. So the same process undertakes their removal also. So what does the process say? The process says that if you have to undertake any removal, the motion could be initiated in the Rajya Sabha or in the Lok Sabha. For initiation in the Rajya Sabha, it should be backed by 100 MPs. In case of the Rajya Sabha, it should be backed by 50 MPs. After this, it would be submitted to the chair of the respective houses. So speaker in case of the Lok Sabha and chairman in case of the Rajya Sabha. All right. And if they admit the motion, then they are going to form a committee for looking into whatever allegations have been or charges have been put against this said authority. All right. So the motion has been rejected at this stage only. That is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. They have rejected it. Okay. The process is similar to that of removal of the speaker of the removal of a judge of the Supreme Court or the High Court. All right, now we have the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh taking power, that is taking office, that is Tariq Rahman, and he is the leader of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the same party that also had Khaleda Zia as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. And now, after becoming the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, he has now sought to undertake good relations, better the relations between India, and they've also suggested basically a plan that, you know, on and off the officials should be meeting very frequently, and they want to undertake good diplomatic relations with each other. Also, a mention has been made of the Ganga Water Treaty, which was signed in 1996 and set to expire in 2026 because it was signed for 30 years, has to be renewed now. All right, so it is almost on the verge of being expired. This Ganga Water Treaty is for equitable sharing of Ganga River water in the countries of India and Bangladesh, because naturally more of the river flows in India, and by the time it reaches Bangladesh, it already has very little water. So during the tenure of the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, certain talks were undertaken to renegotiate on the terms of the treaty and to renew the treaty. However, just after that, political upheavals took place in Bangladesh, and since the interim government's entire outlook towards India was very cold, no such negotiations could take place. But now, BNP under Tariq Rahman is very adamant on bettering relations between India. So again, we do see a chance of renewal of the Ganga Water Treaty. Okay. Then Kalpakkam nuclear power plant has now become India's fast breeder reactor. All right, and it is, I think, India's first indigenous power breeder reactor. And Kalpakkam is India's one of the 7 major nuclear power plants, which is located in Tamil Nadu. And this India is, you know, developing and working on it in collaboration with Russia. So here again, what you have to keep in mind is, what is a fast breeder reactor? A fast breeder reactor is a type of nuclear reactor which generates high amount of fissile fuel by consuming very little amount of nuclear raw materials into, and this also it does very, very quickly. All right, so a fast breeder reactor, high quantities of uh, fissile fuel fissile fuel fissile fuel that is formed through fission of nuclear energy using less raw materials. Okay, all right, so this is a fast breeder reactor, so it is naturally going to aid India's nuclear program. All right, then the next is India's internet censorship regime. Well, can go through this. It is a good article which basically tells us that what are the basic provisions of, or how does censorship in India work. So it basically says that the government issues orders, and as per the orders of the government, what actually happens is that the government undertakes limitations on certain sites, certain websites of our enemy nations, etc. And then accordingly, the internet service providers, that is whichever company is providing us the internet service, they have to accordingly limit and restrict all those sites for their users. All right, so that is what the article is talking about. Then coming to the editorial analysis for today. All right, now because today is World Health Day, we have 2 such articles that we've actually picked up for you to at least go through. One is on mental health and other is on climate change, which is triggering health crisis. All right, so mental health actually pertains to the entire, the author has written it in terms of the new amendments and changes that have been suggested in the transgender bill, and it is actually showing that previously when it was agreed to, and the transgender person or anybody who's a cisgender also, they were given this right of self-identification, of self-declaration, that they could decide whichever gender they were actually recognizing themselves with. But with this change, now they have to go through this entire rigorous process of, you know, getting themselves examined by a medical board, and then finally a final stamp on that identity would be put by the district magistrate or the commissioner, which is naturally taking away the rights in first instance, and secondly, it's also, you know, harming the dignity of that person. They have to go through a medical examination to align themselves with one particular gender identity. So that would take a toll on their mental health, which naturally they have to suffer from so much of prejudice and stereotype in the society, which would be triggered further because of this change. So that is what the article talks about. Then this article tells us that how climate change triggers health emergency. Now firstly, what they are showing is that because of climate change, what happens is that large number of climate change results in lowering temperatures, results higher temperatures, which triggers changes in the sense that we experience erratic rainfall, all right, which makes various countries, specifically tropical regions, breeders of insects or vectors, all right, and these vectors, they trigger high instances of vector-borne diseases like cholera, malaria, dengue, etc. Then it also says that sometimes this climate change, it triggers pollution, and this pollution naturally again affects our breathing system, respiratory system. Then climate change on top of it also triggers conditions like famine and droughts, which negatively impact the agricultural sector, leading to food crisis as well as food inflation. All right. So this is what the article talks about. I can go through it. That this next article is an article which gives us an insight into what Donald Trump's entire external policy these days are actually aligning with. All right. So it is just showing us that how Donald Trump is just, without thinking, ranting statements, issuing statements on X, and is basically negating his own ideology, his own set agendas, goals, etc. Like, for example, initially when the war began, he was very happy that he had assassinated the Ayatollah in just one strike and just one day into the war, and then he had anticipated that there would be an entire regime change and the military and defense system of Iran is going to be raised to ground, and no nuclear ambitions of Iran would be justified. But then if we look into it today, we are in the 37th day of the war, and Iran is nowhere even close to being raised down to a nil military or a zero military. All right. So whatever Donald Trump is doing is only playing games of words on Twitter and on other social media platforms, but nothing that he had actually had in mind during the start of the war has materialized. All right. So we never know with him what he says today, what he says tomorrow, and what the next day in terms of the war is going to bring to us. All right. Now, this article draws our attention to the fact that we are that one country who is actually the incepting country of Buddhism. It was from here that Gautam Buddha got received enlightenment and led to the development and establishment of this new religion, Buddhism. And today we are actually one of those countries amongst the global Buddhists, amongst the other countries who actually practice Buddhism, to have the smallest number of people practicing Buddhism in India. All right. So, although we are celebrating the return of Piprava relics, Piprava relics have been one of the most celebrated relics and remains of Gautam Buddha. So, instead of celebrating this, we must also try to celebrate whatever little Buddhist culture tradition is left with us, specifically one region which is very rich in the Buddhist culture, that is Ladakh. So we must celebrate Ladakh, its entire identity, all cultures, traditions that actually give Ladakh its distinctive characteristics. All right. Then again, an article on US and Iran and everything that has been happening there. It's an opinionated article which talks about that how, as of now, Iran is somehow has been able to sustain itself, maintain itself amidst the entire attack of Iran, of Israel and US on them. But then again, Iran is weak, and Iran has been suffering from problems with Israel, and US has have not been suffering from. So we can still anticipate that maybe Iran does not have an upper hand, and things can flip very quickly. All right, for Iran. Then this article is, again, we've done this before also, so I will not get into the details of it, but this article is just telling us that how the global world faced an oil crisis in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War, where OPEC, the oil and petroleum exporting countries, they had issued orders saying that no country would undertake trade, that they are not going to be exporting oil to countries who are supporting Israel in the Yom Kippur War. This resulted in massive inflation in oil prices, where Saudi Arabia then undertook an entire deal with the United States of America, saying that they are going to price their oil in dollars, which resulted in the invention of a word known as petrodollar. All right. So similarly, like that, in 1973, the same thing is being happening in the world today also, where we are witnessing an oil crisis for a war that majority of the countries are not even a part of. Okay, then this article gives us an insight into the entire, everything about Kerala. It's recently we did see that the name of Kerala has been changed from Kerala to Keralam. First, it was passed by the Legislative Assembly of Kerala, and then they asked the central government to make the necessary changes from them. Why? Because it is only the central government under Article 3 who has been empowered to bring about any change in the name, boundary, etc. of the states in the country. So this just takes us into history as to how the term Kerala and Keralam came into existence. Now coming to the news in brief. So today the 9-judge bench, which is set to hear and review the Sabrimala verdict, not only the Sabrimala verdict, but all verdicts that had been given with respect to women entering the religious places and their rights to worship in different religion, in different under different religion and the religious places. So all of them are going to be heard today, and then we are all anticipating the discussions that took place. All right, then Artemis 2 has broken Apollo 13 record for the farthest human travel. Okay, so they have gone up to space. They've gone near moon, and specifically near the soul of the south pole of the moon this time. So they have actually gone further than Artemis, than the Apollo 13 mission. All right. Then today is the World Health Day, and you've got a quiz on the Hindu. Make sure that you do it. All right. So this was all for today's newspaper analysis. I hope that it was absolutely clear to you all, and I'll see you all soon with the next one. Thank you.